Welcome to Capitol Review. I'm Mark Hall. There's a new nominee to be D.C.'s top federal prosecutor. President Trump announcing on social media it's Fox News host Jeanine Pirro. She's a former county prosecutor and an elected judge. And also the latest in a string of Trump appointments coming from Fox News, including Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. The news coming the same day that President Trump pulled his original nominee, Ed Martin Jr. He has been the acting U.S. attorney for D.C. since Trump's inauguration. But Martin's support of the January 6 rioters led to a key Republican coming out against him. Returning to Capitol Review is Alex Gaudiontano. She's the White House correspondent with our media partners at The Hill. Alex, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, let's take a step back. Why was Ed Martin a controversial pick for the U.S. attorney for the district?
Yeah, a lot has happened this week. So Ed Martin, who was nominated for that top D.C. prosecutor job, was considered controversial because of his kind of allegiance and alliance to the Stop the Steal movement that eventually culminated to the January 6 riots at the U.S. Capitol after the 2020 election to protest the election of former President Biden. And then once Martin was associated with the rioters that day, he also defended a lot of them in the courts. And then when the President Trump nominated him for this top job, there was, questions over where his alliances were and how, loyal he would be to Trump and his supporters versus, being loyal to the courts. So we saw then earlier this week, Senator Thom Tillis, a Republican from North Carolina, come out and say, I will not be supporting the nomination on the issue of him backing the January 6 rioters. So that torpedoed Martin's nomination.
The president announcing that he's appointing Fox News host Judge Jeanine Pirro. She's obviously been an ally for the president. Why her for the top prosecutor in the district?
Yeah, good question. She's definitely been an ally of the president. So she's a longtime Fox News commentator, and she was a top judge in Westchester County, New York. So has the background in that before joining Fox News on kind of a permanent basis. It was interesting just yesterday, because she's one of the hosts of The Five on Fox, and she wasn't on the panel yesterday, and then the news quickly came out. So I think her background does help, but I also think the fact that she's a loyal Trump loyalist, Trump ally, that helps as well. And then we've seen a pattern in this administration with the president plucking people from Fox News. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was a former Fox News commentator, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. And so this is just another person in that pattern. And I think he was looking for someone who would be loyal to him, but also maybe doesn't have as much as the controversial January 6 related background, although, she'll definitely be a pick that raises some questions as well if she's qualified for this.
Clearly, the president likes to go big. She's certainly high profile, and the president has picked other Fox News personalities in the past. You talked about the pattern. This fits right in with it. Right,
definitely. And it's also unclear if the president wants her on an interim basis so that she doesn't have to face a Senate confirmation hearing. And maybe he'll name somebody else if it gets to the point that he can no longer keep her on that temporary status. So we'll have to see, because Senate confirmations with her as high profile as she is would definitely be an interesting one. I think Democrats would have a lot of questions about how she'd be qualified for this top job.
It's tough to predict the future, but do you think that she could get the Senate approval?
No, I think with this Republican majority, I think she could, slip through. I was questioning if Defense Secretary Hegseth could get Senate approval, and he was able to get through. Republicans are in a position that they're kind of choosing their battles here, and so she's probably less controversial than Ed Martin because of his actions in the post-2020 election that a lot of Republicans want to distance themselves from. So I think they might see that Ed Martin getting pulled as a win and let her go through if it does come to that.
Alex Gaudiontano, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you.